The last time the U.S. and Iran were beefing was around 2025 in June. Some of you guys were in the market around this time, okay? And it was like the weekend as well. Like it was the same sort of situation when you had the weekend and yada 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 went down. But what ultimately ended up happening and what you have to realize and why so many people, I don't know why so many people are getting scared right here. Not even so many people. Like the smart people know the market is going higher. Okay, the smart people know that this is nothing to be scared of. This is actually an opportunity to get some discounts because what happened for these 3 days, while Iran and whatever happened, we actually had the market going absolutely crazy. Okay, this ended up being like a five, like after that incident, right? After that incident, we ended up having a 10% move to the upside. Okay, now will the same thing play out? Look, man, I think that's more possible than it. I think that's more possible. And even if not, you have to realize the market is gonna go up. There's a reason this title is SPY to 800. Okay, SPY is gonna go to 800. Okay, this is coming from the person who told you to buy, the April tariff dips, who told you to buy the dips over here way back in 2022, if some of you guys remember, and even back here in April, and every single dip in between. This is another opportunity to get amazing discounts. Okay, so I really want to look at some individual stocks that are primed. Okay, I want to look at some individual stocks that are primed to run, that are primed to look good, that we can get in and be confident that we're going to make money on the other side of it, right? But first, we got to run the likes up to at least 4K. Okay, let's run the likes up to at least 4K. Do you think it's a bearish flag on the daily? I mean, look, man. I mean, we can look at the cues, okay? And the thing is, sure, we could go down a little bit. So, I do want to pick, we can look at, a few of these, smaller time frames. We can look at, where price could potentially go down. And, obviously this was a big rejection that we continue to talk about every single time we go live, which is 617, funny enough. 617, where that is the leg that it needs to, that is the level that it needs to break above to start going to 630, etc. But in the meantime, we're just chopping. We're getting some amazing opportunities on the chopping time frame. I mean, if you're just in the Discord, you know what we've been cooking up, right? You know what we've been cooking up. Thursday, IWM, PLTR, RGTI. Like, these are plays that are going over 100%. So you're getting a lot of volatility. All you have to do now is, get in some good plays. Get in some good plays. That's all you have to do. Okay? So in the meantime, you have it continuing to reject from 617. And now the level to pay attention to is the level that it's currently sitting at, which is 602, right? Above it needs to start holding above 602, which it bounced from on Friday, I believe, or when did it bounce? Yeah, on Friday. You had that big gap down, but then it ultimately bounced from 602, and now you have the weekend futures heading a bit lower, but we haven't really opened up yet, and we got to see some things. If not, obviously we're gonna go to 24,000, but those are just shorter term time frames. The bigger picture is paying attention to what stocks look good heading out of this, okay? That's where the big opportunity is, okay? Not walking over pennies, not walking over dollars to pick up pennies, okay? We're trying to look for that bigger picture, the bigger picture things. Anyways, let's look at some individual stocks. Put in the comments what stocks you guys want to look at, and we'll look at it. Use the word conflict. You make it too much money, so somebody's cybersecurity hacking. Hey man, these bro, it's Pat. Oh my gosh, Pat. Look, man, I wouldn't mess with anything but Path Equity, but I actually agree with you, man. That, like, when it comes to AI agents, like, this is one of the stocks that have been positioned very well to make AI agents. But I don't want to look at it until you can get some, But it did close very nicely on the weekly. I will say that, and it's a small cap at $5 billion. This could be a very good discount for a lot of equity buyers. Just search what Path does and search what tools are. Search. Okay. A lot of people think AI software, software stocks are, since cloud came out, since all this AI things, like, they're going to become obsolete. But what's really going to end up happening is that all these, you're going to get very specific AI agents, okay, very specified type of things in these niches. Like, you look at, let's just say social media, for example, you can, create AI agents to scan, to scrape data, search the main news articles. You can do a whole bunch of things that I don't feel like talking about on here. But when you look at Path, they are primed to, make those things, etc. But, They have 450 path. Yeah, I like path, but anyways, let's look at some different stocks, man. CRM. Let's look at CRM. While I'm dropping game. I mean, yeah, a lot of people don't know that. A lot, that's why you come to these live streams, man. I do some research. I dibble dabble in a little bit of research before I get on here, or just in general, like I stay up to date on it. But CRM, the main thing to pay attention to for CRM, and some of these software stocks in general is IGV and the overall landscape of what's happening in some of these software stocks. And I actually think they're very, very bullish. Okay, I think this whole thing is overblown. But that's just saying, like, I believe the market is bullish in general, right? I believe the market has a much higher leg to go to the upside. I believe we're going to see the Qs at 680. I think SPY is going to get to 800. So, obviously when we're looking at, CRM, and a lot of people don't look, man, if you've been here for a while, we've had some of these amazing calls. We've been so early on some of these things. We're never wrong. We're just early. Okay, so when we're looking at CRM, the main thing I like about CRM is that it swept these buyers right here, and actually it's closing above. So you got this sweep heading for it. And I just want to look at the bigger picture of some of these things, not so much of what's happening on some of these smaller time frames, just because. I think the larger move to be made now is to the upside, okay? So it swept it swept the people that are trying to buy the dip right here, and now it looks like it's prime to make a reversal, but obviously it needs to stay above some certain levels. We got to pay attention to some certain things, etc., right? You got to make sure this is staying above, 184. You got to be looking for those little things. And you really don't even want to, you really want this to pull back to 184 anyways, because you're not getting it at a very good. And look at where I'm drawing these Fibonacci's. Like, you could come in here and just tap on some of these Fibonacci's, or just look at what I'm doing, and you get these prime rejections, and you get these prime bounce levels, okay? There's a reason why I rejected right here, okay? There's a reason why it rejected at 194. There's a reason why the next level when it gets above 194 is to 213, okay? There's a reason for all of that, all right? So if I was looking at CRM, I obviously would want it to go to 184. I'd want this dip more than it being, at 194. So you want to pick and choose where you're entering into some of these things, because you're able to get, better buys, and you're not buying into someone's 2,000% contract, right? Like, somebody was buying our 200% PLTR, and they happily bought it, not knowing they bought it at a rejection level, and it went down, or they bought our RGTI, we were up over 250% on some RGTI, and they bought it, and it went down. And Tesla, same thing last week. And so you want to make sure you're buying these things at good levels, because if not, you're going to be buying someone's 200-300% contract. So now that we got these dips, now that there's added fear into the market, now that people are looking to short the market, geniuses are looking to short the market now. You should have shorted it on, when we had that big gap up. And now you're trying to short it on a big gap down. You're doing the opposite of what the market is even telling you. Like, we've been in an extreme chop area for 7 months. So pay attention to that. So when we're looking at CRM, I would like it at 184. I would like some of the hype to die down a little bit for software stocks, and people starting to believe that, it's actually dead, kind of like they believe, last week on Tuesday, and that was the best time to buy. And then you got this huge rise. So now you want a little bit of pullback to maybe 184, and that'd be a good area for it. I think it can easily start getting, retesting that 200 level, and then above there, you can start getting 212. Okay, I like CRM. They have a lot of cash. Okay, they have a lot of cash. They had great earnings. Like, nothing's really fundamentally wrong with the company yet. And we're in an extreme bull run. And I think, the market goes a lot higher. So all those things add into what I just said. But anyways, let's move on. Let's look at some different stocks. I also think SPY is hitting 800. Me too. Put in the comments the stocks you guys are looking at. Make sure you're liking the live stream. Let's run it up to 10K. This is great information, and if you've been paying attention, for any of these lives, like, we've been spot on. Okay, we've been spot on. Let's put in the comments the stocks you guys want to look at. IBRX. Let's check it out, man. Immunity Bio. I'm not interested. I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I'm just not interested in stocks that look like this. But it looks like it can continue. I mean, you look at what's happening with a lot of these health technology stocks like mRNA and Lilly. They're doing very, very well. I would rather be an mRNA, but IRBX, it could, or IBRX, it could do something as well. It could do something, but I'm not interested in like this. I'm not interested. This thing was at $2, went to $12. I'm alright. But I do like it. IWM. Let's look at IWM. IWM. The thing to notice on IWM. Well, the bigger picture that you have to realize that this is going to 300 plus. Okay, there's a huge small cap wave that's going to end up taking place here very, very soon. Okay, once this money starts rotating out of this oil and all of this gold stuff, you best believe IWM is going to continue to soar like it's been doing for the past, almost an entire year. By the way, okay, this thing has been soaring for an entire year. Okay, it's actually been putting in new all-time highs when a lot of the indexes couldn't. Okay, the Qs couldn't. S&P 500 couldn't, but IWM has actually been putting in new all-time highs. That goes to say there's a lot of money rotation that is taking place. So this is going to be a very, very strong index when the markets do start, catching up and reversing. And, once this gap down is done and, once the Iran news is done, like this is going to be the strongest index like it has been, for some time now. So when we're looking at IWM, the main thing I want to pay attention to is these few levels. Okay, I want to make sure I'm paying attention to 256. Okay, because below 256, this thing is going to end up getting to 244. Now, how did I get that 244 level? All you have to do is this: you just come over here. You drop from the top, the bottom right here to the top. Okay, and we could call this anything you want. Okay, a lot of people like calling this the fair value gaps, or IC booty T, or whatever it is. You could come over here and use the fibs because it's the same idea, okay? So you come over here and this is gonna be your buying area, okay? Now these are just the main levels that I want to pay attention to because these are gonna be the big bounces, okay? The big bounces from very valid supports. I mean, like you saw here, you could have easily caught this bounce once, and this was here before, let me show you, okay? This was here. You come over here, you drop it inside to the bottom. You could have been like, I'm not buying up here. I'm gonna buy when it's actually, a fair value, around the Fibonacci retracement. You could have caught this bounce. That was the biggest bounce from 255 all the way to 269. You could have caught that. Now it is actually in a chop area. Okay, it's been chopping for some time now. So now what you want to pay attention to is, the same sort of thing, and also from this bottom to this top, and now you have this level that you're seeing right here, which it continues to bounce from, almost every single day, and it never closes below there. Okay, hasn't closed below there since February 13th. It comes down below wicks and then it bounces back up. So huge level. So you want to make sure coming into tomorrow that it's not bumping its head against that level, okay? Because I believe it's going to gap below that level. You want to make sure it's not coming in tomorrow bumping its head against that level, because then you're going to get 255, and then at 255, you definitely don't want it to go below there, because then you're going to get 245. So the main thing to focus on is that, because you want to see it close back above. You want to see tomorrow that it closes above this level that it's closed above for almost an entire month. Literally all of February almost. It's closed above that level. So make sure it closes above 260. Actually for almost make sure it closes above 260, okay? Because if not, it's going to 255. And then, it should bounce, but if not, it's going to 245, okay? But like I said, main picture, this is going to end up getting to around 300, okay? But it could slip and slide, okay? Now, what is a slip and slide? Is where, you're getting a lot of these lower highs, and then what ends up happening is you finally get that slip and slide, okay? So I actually think a slip and slide could be due. It could be due. It could be due, especially when you see this now. Like now, you're getting even some hidden bear divergence on the daily time frame. This is making a lower high. This is making a higher high. All right, so this actually looks to me like it's bearish. It looks like it could get to 255, like I said, and maybe even 245. But make no mistake at all. You want to make sure you have some cash on the side, because, like I said, the market is not done. It is actually giving some incredible buys. Okay, some incredible buys. Anyways, put in the comments what stocks you guys want to get, man. POTR smoking. Yeah, it is smoking. But like I said, you want to see this. It's the strongest index. You want to see it, closing above some levels, and we'll be paying attention. Just make sure it's not bumping its head on 260 coming into tomorrow. Okay. Anyways, we got to 11K likes. I don't even have to say anything. We can just continue looking at stocks. We can continue looking at SMX. What is this, bro? Dog. Say it ain't so, man. Say it's not so. Yeah, we're not looking at this, man. You're trolling. You're trolling. No way. Actually, I'm not gonna say you're trolling. You got God first in your body. No way you came in here trolling. You're actually serious. I don't even know what this does, man. I don't know. Package software. Yeah, I don't know, bro. I don't know, man. But this isn't anything that I mess with personally. But it looks like, you know, maybe. Look, man. I don't know, man. I don't know. PLG, platinum groups. Let's look at some platinum groups, man. I actually think a lot of these. This is a $340 million market cap, so I'm not really interested in such a small cap because these are too unpredictable. Now, I do know the rationale, like we have a lot of these metals pumping and everything, but I actually believe, you know, a lot of the money from gold, I actually think this could be the last pump on gold and oil. I think, you know, this isn't anything that I want to be inside of. A lot of these minerals, I think they've had a lot of, you know, pump, and, you know, I think money will get rotated into a lot of higher risk things, okay? So I'm not very interested in that, but CVS is in a gap. Is it? It definitely is in a gap, and you know it could run higher. A lot of these, you know, final gold pump and then Bitcoin will run. That's what I'm thinking, man. I'm not a, we'll have to see. We'll have to see. I think risk on. A lot of these, like, I think money's going to end up rotating heavily. I mean, it's already been rotating, and it's just going to rotate even more. So, I definitely wouldn't want to be in, you know, I'm not going to be anyone's exit liquidity at this point, okay? I'm just not. Anyways, put the comments of stocks you guys want to look at. We'll look at them. Tesla, QQQ, Nvidia's chopping. You guys got any, you know, some decent stocks in here, man? Some good stocks? Did we run out of stocks? Actually, supercomputer looks pretty good. Okay? Or super microcomputer looks decent, okay? To me, this thing is getting ready for a springboard. A springboard to the upside, okay? It's looking very, very good. I actually want to see where this opens up tomorrow. It should be interesting to see if it opens higher, lower, or, you know, what level it opens at. But as long as it continues to stay above $30.50, I really, really like it. This right here looks like it's ready, okay? Higher lows. It's getting very tight, okay? When money starts rotating, because what's happening right now is that, you know, you're really just getting a few stocks running, and, you know, it's really you get a pump one day, a short next day, a pump one day, short next day, and in a very volatile situation. So what's happening right now is, you know, not a lot of stocks are, you know, getting that, you know, boom, you know, money isn't rotating super heavily right now. It's kind of in, you know, accumulation, consolidation-ish. So, you know, the IWM is actually chopping. SMCI is sitting in here chopping as well. So that's what I'll be focusing on. But when the market finally does start, you know, switching and starts getting more and more bullish, and, you know, higher risk assets start going, I think this is a prime entry. I think it's primed. Mainly because their revenue is higher than AMD's. They have excellent revenue. They had incredible earnings. Okay, there's some very good things happening for them. All right, so this one, you know, there's nothing really to look at just because it's chopping, but, you know, levels that it needs to break above, you know, we can say 36, we can even say 35, you know, but we really want to see this. We really want to see the market, you know, getting rotated into. So I love SMCI, and I think it's gonna break out. But could it chop this entire week? Could it chop this entire week? Could it? Amazon. I actually love Amazon. Netflix is a great setup. I absolutely agree with you. But I want to look at Amazon because Amazon. Netflix is in a great setup. It keeps retesting that flag. But when you look at Amazon, they own a lot of Anthropic. They own a lot of OpenAI. They're in a big monthly. This is why I don't understand people being super bearish right now. Okay, and we're gonna leave off on this point. Okay, you look at Netflix going crazy as well, but you look at Amazon. Okay, Amazon is set out to go absolutely insane. I believe throughout, whenever, like I said, whenever this, Iran and whenever this stuff blows over, which it will, which money will get heavily thrown back into the market, because like I said, I believe S&P is going to go to 800. I believe the Qs continues to march to the upside. I think you can see 680. I think IWM, the small cap index can get to around 300. So when you're looking at Amazon, which owns a lot of the technology that is disrupting, the software stocks like we saw, which I believe those are going to get bid as well. But, they're saying they own a lot of it. They own a lot of OpenAI. They're sitting in a big monthly buy zone. Okay. And by big monthly buy zone, this is something that we talked about, while it came down there, which was you come over here, drop from the low to the top. This is where you want to buy it at. If you miss this run that it had from the April tariff lows from 161 to 156. If you miss that, the next big buying area was right here at 190, 198, and it got there. Okay. It bounced there. We've been looking at that area. This is the big monthly buying area. Not only that, you come over here to the monthly, and this thing is now monthly closed at a hidden monthly divergence. Now, where have we seen that? Where have we seen that? Okay, where have we seen that? And not only that, Amazon is adding on to they're gonna be one of the companies that are gonna get heavily robotized. Robotized. I don't even know. I don't know if that's the right word. They're gonna get robotized because they have a lot of factory work which robots can do. So not only they're going to be saving a whole bunch of money from not hiring people. As bad as that sounds, they're just going to save a lot of money. So you look at the monthly hidden bull divergence for something like Amazon. Okay, and this is why I don't understand people are bearish, because you have a lot of these hidden monthly bull divergences that are forming on Microsoft. We saw Meta play out, which I'm going to show you, but this looks exactly like Meta, and that's why my final target is to around 360. I think Amazon can get to 360. Let me not be that, let me be a bit more, conservative. I think it can get back to all-time highs, which is 260. And I don't think it's going to double top, so maybe 270, 280-ish, okay? But this is a very bullish setup on the monthly. You come over here and look at Meta. Massively automated. Yes, there we go. They're going to be massively automated. You come over here and look at Meta. Meta was sitting in this same exact format that we saw back when, okay? Back when everybody was so scared to buy Meta in November, okay? Around Thanksgiving. People were scared to buy Meta, believe it or not. It was around 587. And I came on here, I was like, no, you actually want to get into Meta because it's sitting in a huge monthly hidden bull divergence, okay? And it was sitting in a huge monthly buying area, okay? Like you saw right here at 601. So you absolutely wanted to buy it. And then we saw over $150 move. And now it's actually retesting some of these levels, looking even more bullish, looking even more bullish here, okay? It looks very bullish, okay? You just want to make sure it closes the weekly above 643, okay? Like it's been doing the past 3 weeks. But anyways, absolutely love Amazon. I think Amazon is set out to go crazy. I think it's one of the more bullish Mag 7 or, FANG, whatever stock you want to call it, the bigger mega cap stocks, because of the investments that it has, because it is easily going to get automated. Like my boy Gucci said, they're going to save a tons of money. And I absolutely love Amazon heading into the rest of Q1 and Q2. Okay. And I believe the market is generally bullish overall. Okay. So love Amazon. And I think if you're bullish, you're going to be right. If you're bearish, in these next couple months, you're going to be wrong. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this live stream. I don't want to hold you guys up for too long tonight. Make sure you're in the Discord. Like I said, we cooked up a bunch of plays this week, okay? POTR, from RGTI, from Tesla. This was on what? Monday, Tuesday, Tesla, RGTI, OKLO, RGTI. I said that already. But yeah, just in here cooking up. Netflix, yes, we caught the Netflix. My boy Parth caught the Netflix over like 1,000% on those bad boys. Like they went crazy, okay? But anyways, everything's linked about. I'll talk to you guys. The next live show is on Wednesday. Good luck coming into this week. It should be very volatile. It should be very fun. Don't come into Monday thinking it's very bearish. Don't come in thinking it's very bullish. Look for some great opportunities on great stocks because the market is not done, okay? The market is not done. The market is not done. I think SPY, the S&P can get to 800, okay? That's my price target. All right? And you guys remember I was putting the S&P 500, I was putting the S&P 500 to 600 back when it was what? 350? Some of you guys remember. But anyways, I'll talk to you guys later. This will be uploaded on YouTube for all the people that missed it. I love NEE. We've been making a whole lot of money on NEE. My boy Jet Ski in here. You don't look at Cypher? No. 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 I think it's bearish. It looks bearish. It looks like it's going to free fall here soon. But, this is just, anyway, I'll talk to you guys later. I'm out. Peace.